The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and it is a game day preview this time of round 7 of the game between the Eels and the Dolphins, played up at TIO Stadium in Darwin. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to grab a Dolphins fan to do a game day preview with like I usually do. If I can find a fan of the opposition that Parramatta's playing, I'll do a game day preview with them. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a Dolphins fan on board. So if you do know of a Manly fan that would like to come onto the podcast and have a game day preview with me, let me know and I'll get in touch with them for next week. But anyway, this game is being played, as I said, at TIO Stadium in Darwin. It's the annual Darwin fixture that the Eels take a home game up there to the Northern Territory, and this time they are playing the Dolphins. Now, just a few stats about these Darwin games. Parramatta have played 9 games up there in Darwin for 6 wins, so 6 out of 9 at a 66% win rate. A little bit of a funny streak sort of thing happening there. The first 3 games they won, then a loss. The next 3 they won, and the last 2 times they've been up in the Northern Territory for this game, they have lost. And the teams that they have played up there in Darwin, they've played North Queensland 3 times, Brisbane twice, Canberra twice, Penrith and the Gold Coast 1 time each, and it is the first time playing the Dolphins up there in Darwin. Now, the last time this game is being refereed by Todd Smith, and the last time the game was played in Darwin and in 2022, Todd Smith was the referee. It was against North Queensland that day. Parramatta lost that game, although we did win the penalty count 6-3. And pretty interesting to note that Jake Arthur was the 5/8 on that day and Dylan Brown was the centre. So a few little stats there about the game in Darwin. But to this game, to this tomorrow, or Friday I should say, the 19th of April. So whenever you're hearing this podcast, round 7 to this game. Now, we'll go through the Parramatta side first of all. Clint Gutherson, Bailey Simonson, Will Penasini, Morgan Harper, Sean Russell, Dejan Arce, Dylan Brown are the backs, and the forwards, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Joey Lussick, Junior Paolo, Sean Lane, Bryce Cartwright, Jermaine Hopgood, with the bench of Luca Moretti, Ryan Madison, Joe Offahengawi and Blaze Talagi. So, look, and Brendan Hands is the 18th man. Now, in that side, there's only been the one change there. Obviously, Kelma Tuolagi has gone back to New South Wales Cup, and Blaze Talangi has come onto the interchange bench. Other than that, it's the same squad that took on the North Queensland Cowboys for a win at CommBank Stadium. Now, how Blaze will be used off the interchange bench will be a really interesting one for me and a lot of Parramatta fans, to be honest. Where will he play this game? I think he will be used late in the first half, maybe early on in the second half, and I think he'll probably be used to try and run around these tired forwards of the Dolphins. As we know, it is quite humid up in Darwin during this game, so it does take a lot out of you. It's not like a normal club game. It could potentially be a little bit like playing up in North Queensland with the humidity there, but it's a different kind of humidity. But that I don't know where he is going to play, to be honest, and I think that's how he will be used. We have seen him play 5'8" before. Obviously, centre can play fullback as well. So whether Joey Lussick gets a little bit of a break, Jermaine Hopgood go into hooker. He did start off his career as a hooker. Hasn't played that in NRL level, but has played that in his juniors. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see on that one. What's your thoughts on that one? I think also too, Junior Paulo, he has been named at starting prop. I think he will come off the bench like he has in the previous games that he has played this season. I think it's really working with Joe Ofahengawi starting the game and Junior starting the game off the bench. I think he really made an impact last week against the Cowboys when he came on. I think the tempo lifted a little bit, and I thought he had a really good performance. So I think he will start off the bench again, and Joe will start the game. So we'll see that change on game day. Now, to the Dolphins. Now, they've got a stack of changes due to injury and suspension. Trey Fuller comes in at the fullback position. Now, Trey is a 27-year-old. He's debuted last year against the Tigers at round 25. Now, if you remember, scored a try off the bench as well in that game. Now, if you remember, that game was being played at CommBank Stadium, and I think that was the game that Api Coruscant kicked that ball from the sideline to win that game. So, Trey made his debut in that game, has played a lot of Queensland Cup, 87 games or 82 games for 52 tries, so pretty good strike rate there. So maybe he could be a little bit of an X factor for the Dolphins, as maybe the Parramatta Eels don't know a lot about him. But obviously they would have done a little bit of research about him, but potentially also a target for the Eels kicking game for the fullback there, the inexperienced fullback. Trey Fuller at fullback, Jermaine Asako, Jake Averillo, Tessie New, Jack Bostock, Cody Nikorima, Isaiah Katoa, Jesse Bromwich, Jerry Marshall-King, Mark Nichols, Kenny Bromwich, Ewan Aiken, Max Plath is the starting side. On the interchange bench, Josh Kerr, Sean O'Sullivan, Ray Stone, Jared Wallace. So, look, for the Dolphins, we all know about the big outs for them. Herbie Farnworth, a couple of weeks now, Tom Flegler as well, but the one that they copped an injury last week was Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow, their fullback, the Hammer, their excitement machine, their X factor. Unfortunately picked up a hamstring injury last week, and look, that's a major blow for them, as I know that the Northern Territory crowd would have been loving to see him play up there in Darwin for the Dolphins, but unfortunately he's out and Anthony Milford is suspended. So look, they've got some outs there. Sean O'Sullivan comes back, Max Plath comes back from suspension, and look, I think they're really going to struggle. I think, look, they're coming 5th position on the ladder at the moment. The Eels are in 11th, but look, they are outsiders in this game, and I just think they will struggle in this game with all those injuries and suspensions. Never can tell, though, up in Darwin, but I just think they will struggle. They've been playing some okay football, but they also have their moments where they do fall away as well. Katoa had a great game last week. Jesse Bromwich, interesting about him as well. He is the first prop in the 116 years of rugby league to reach 300 starting games as a prop. So that is a major milestone for him, a big record that records are meant to be broken. I don't think that one will be broken. To do 300 starting games as prop is a major achievement. It's already played 321 games in his career so far, and the clock is ticking down because I think he's retiring at the end of the year. So 33 tries, 321 appearances. So he's had a great career. Debuted in 2010. So I think that is a major achievement. So congratulations to him on that one. Look, to the team stats, they've only played the one game, these two clubs, and that was last year at Sunshine Coast Stadium. And if you remember, Parramatta, they got off to an absolute flyer of a start, 42 points to 4 at half time. The Dolphins actually scored the first try through Braden McGrady after the 3rd minute, and they never scored again in the first half. But in the second half, they scored 16 points to 6 in that second half. But yeah, Parramatta, they started off with an absolute flyer, 42 points to 4, and being at the game, I thought, geez, 42-4 at half time, what could this be in the second half? And the Dolphins, to their credit, they came back. The Hammer, he scored a couple of tries. One of the length of the field job, I think it was. So they came back to make the score a little bit more respectable, 48 points to 20. Parramatta only scoring the one try in the second half. But I remember Will Penasini scoring a great try. There was a big bump off his opposition centre. I think it may have been Ewan Aitken at the time. And I think, yes, Ewan Aitken at the time. So he just bumped him off and scored a try. But a completely different looking side, and for Parramatta and for the Dolphins last year compared to this year. But that was last year. This is this year. Look, up in Darwin on Friday night, as I spoke about, the humidity is going to be 54% according to the Weather Bureau on Friday night, so we can see that plays a part. We see the players' jerseys absolutely saturated in sweat, and it's just crazy. I had the fortunate enough to go up to Darwin in 2018, Reid Marnie's debut game in the NRL for the Eels, now at Canterbury. But 2018, it was probably the first game that I've been to in shorts and thongs and singlet as well, I think it was, at a rugby league game. So the humidity, it just bites you differently. So 54%. It's going to be reaching up to 34 degrees, 36 it'll feel like. So it's going to be a very low chance of rain, just a 5% chance of rain. But the humidity, that's the one that gets you. And you can see it in the players' jerseys. They just sweat. So ball handling will be crucial as well. And look, I think, as I said, that Blaze, that's probably why he'll be on the bench, just to run around those tired forwards. And I think it's just going to be a great game. Bench rotation will be important, obviously, with the humidity. Do you leave players on shorter than normal? Do you rotate them more? It just all depends on the game. It depends on how it's going to go. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what actually happens with those benches. Sean O'Sullivan as well on the bench for the Dolphins. So how will he be used? Will he be a backup hooker for Jeremy Marshall-King? So maybe he'll be used in that capacity there, or potentially he'll go into the 5/8 spot and Cody Nikorima will go into the hooking spot to give Jeremy a break perhaps. Just have to wait and see what that happens there. But hopefully a big crowd up there in Darwin. I think it's a great event for the community and something to watch some NRL talent go around. Parramatta fans, they're a bit plus and minus about this game, as it takes away a home game for them from CommBank Stadium, and they don't seem to play the teams that they should be beating, I guess, and they play Queensland teams a lot of the time, and they just think that Parramatta can't handle the conditions, and they want the game back at CommBank Stadium. Why should they miss out on that? But it'll be up there anyway, so it's good for the community to see the NRL get up there. And look, I can't wait for this game. Friday night, 8 p.m, the second game on the Friday night, so can't wait for this game. Look, let me get to some predictions. I think Parramatta can really turn it on this weekend. I think they sort of there's a lot to work on from last week's win against the Cowboys, but I think they can really turn it on. I think I tipped on the Talking Para podcast the other night, 40 points to 16, I think. I'll have to go back and have a listen to that one. But look, I went the prediction of Jermaine Hopgood to score the first try. Now, in this game last year against the Dolphins at Sunshine Coast Stadium, he got a try. I think you get the first try this year up there in Darwin against the Dolphins. So I've predicted him to score the first try, and I've gone a bold prediction of Dylan Brown kicking 2 40-20s. Now, that is probably outrageous and very bold, I know, but I just think he might get that. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But 8 p.m, Friday night, Eels vs Dolphins, TIO Stadium in Darwin. Let me know your thoughts about this game. Have I got it right? What are your thoughts on the score? First try scorer. And look, if you want to, give me a bold prediction as well. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But enjoy this game. And look, at the end of the day, as an Eels supporter, I will say, go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parramatta Podcast. See you next time.